fans. Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back for our 28th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite sports, including NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. We've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest new European slots, and our live dealers are waiting for you at the table. Sign up at BetUS.com today to get into the action. BetUS, where the game begins.
And now, broadcasting live from Las Vegas, the Snake Sports Talk Show with Jake Silva starts now.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here on a Friday. And good thing we made it to the end of the week because we got a lot to talk about. Dolphins' potential downfall. Buffalo just all buffed up from last night's game. We got a great one here on the Snake Sports Talk Show, wherever and however you may be watching. Thanks for making us part of your day. Joe Madden is going to be joining us. We're going to be talking about bets, and we're going to be talking about what we recapped from last night's game. Should be a very good one here today. Appreciate everyone for coming on by. Chase absent, but we're always thinking of him even throughout the weekend as well, with Ohio State getting geared up. So really, really fun to talk about here. So Joe Madden joining us here in a couple minutes. My big thing from last night's game is I think we kind of understand what both these teams are, because one right now is just a mess. The other one, this is a team that's got any and everything to play for. Buffalo is just that kind of team that in the AFC, they're right now looking at Kansas City. And Kansas City, that started 0-2, has to play Sunday night against the New York Giants. This does not quite look good for them. And for Buffalo, they're taking advantage of the opportunity, and even on a short week. Josh Allen, once again, proving to people he is trying and trying to get the Buffalo Bills over the top in the AFC. And it was clear last night. There was a lot of physicality from Buffalo's end. And it's basically the freight train. Not a ton of teams in the AFC at this point right now can stop them off the tracks. Buffalo is just right now ramming through people. The dual tight end sets that they've been running all season long, even when they got Hawes, that young tight end from the draft, and also getting Dalton Kincaid, who got 2 scores last night. So this right now, what I'm looking at is Buffalo is putting all their chips in. We know everybody is thinking about what's going to happen with if Buffalo doesn't make it there. To Sean McDermott now, do they need a change in leadership? I know Sean McDermott right now, seat is sizzling up, but right now Buffalo is playing for everything to prove themselves. We are the top team in the AFC. They got to the AFC Championship last year, but of course, had to be stopped by Kansas City. And this year, they're putting all their chips in because they know everything is on the line. It's funny, when I talk with people on the outside, when they describe someone like Sean McDermott, they believe he's this modern-day Marty Schottenheimer. Will win you games, will punch your ticket into the playoffs, but when it comes to playoff wins, it determines 2 things. 1, is Josh Allen, is he on his A game? And 2, does Sean McDermott pretty much coach a clean game? Everybody's buttoned up. Everybody's disciplined. So I just think Buffalo, they are in fact the top team in the AFC. And it's proven right now that they've put their chips in defensively. Not sure what to take away with it, but I know offensively, they can pretty much punch you in the mouth. They will win a lot of those trench warfare games. And Josh Allen is just that incredible. So again, I'm not that intimidated by a team like Miami. I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it. They're the Lamborghini of the NFL, all speed, not a ton of traction when you're facing off against a team in the East like the Buffalo Bills. They got to get better than that, and we'll talk about that here in a bit. So joining us, Absolutely love her content, love her stuff. She always is on her A game when it comes to the best bets that you could choose from every single week of the weekend. Joe Madden joining us here on the program. I'm like thinking about this, Joe. Like last night just kind of proved a testament. Buffalo's putting all of their chips in, and they are playing with everything right now. They're fighting for everything to get themselves into potentially a Super Bowl. Josh Allen looks good. I love the fact that they've been utilizing a lot of their tight ends. They got 3 of them, utilize them on every side. And we know James Cook, new contract, he's playing for something. So what I took away from the game, Joe, and correct me on it if you will, but I think Buffalo is just that kind of physical team that can play in the trenches. And unfortunately for Miami, they look like a mess. They don't look that intimidating. And I just think they've been built more for speed than they have of just being tough and physical and winning those trench games that Buffalo, I would even say, teams like the Chargers or a couple of other teams in the AFC that they are capable of doing. What did you take away from that?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely on the money there. You don't think of Miami as a team that can win in the trenches, right? They have to be able to get that ball into his hands for Tua to throw it down the field to Tyreek Hill, connect with Waddle, Tyreek Hill, his big connections out there. Otherwise, they're just not getting things done, and his offensive line isn't giving him the time. I struggle with Mike McDaniels being their head coach. I did think he was going to be fired after the loss versus the Patriots, and I understand why they didn't do that on a short week, and I do think he proved enough last night, keeping that game within that 10-point margin to hold his job for another week. But I just think the time has come. It's Mike McDaniels or it's Tua. And you look at Tua and you look at his struggles versus the Buffalo Bills. We all expected it, right? It's not like the Miami Dolphins roll into Buffalo and get those wins, but normally the weather is a huge factor for the Miami Dolphins. The weather wasn't a factor last night, and they still weren't able to get the win there. And we didn't expect it. The books didn't expect it. But you look at the Buffalo Bills, you look at Joey Bosa joining this team and how much deeper the trenches are now too. With him there, he looks like he's turned back time. He's playing so much stronger. He's coming with full force, so he needs to stay healthy for them because we know Joey Bosa has had those injury concerns over his career. But this team is ready. They want to take the Super Bowl. We know Josh Allen got married this summer, so he's ready for this to be his year.
Yeah, he's looking to double down on the rings. He's already got one ring on his finger. Now he's hoping to at least get the next one if given the chance. It's funny. Before I get to Mike McDaniel, when I look at Sean McDermott, and I've heard people tell me he's like the modern day Marty Schottenheimer in a way. He can really shape up an organization. Since he started there, the Bills have now gone into a track record where they've made the playoffs. They've had a winning record. And I would say, I think everybody kind of knows it with the NFC, is when Brady's dominance after 20 years, the Patriots then start to fall off. And then there's a new regime that comes in, i.e. Buffalo, that now it's harder to really trump over them in the division. But everybody's holding their breath because McDermott, and I've said this about defensive coaches, and I watch this with Atlanta, they tend to get defensive. They pull the reins. They have to play a little bit shorter. They play a little bit conservative. So at this point, I know Sean McDermott's a very good guy. He's got a great character. But for Buffalo, this has to be the year where they really have to put everything together, be a little bit loose, be more consistent and such, have a structure. That's important. But if nothing goes well and they can't get up and into a Super Bowl, Joe, I feel like this is going to be a tough topic to talk about by the end of the year if they can't get there, right?
Well, it's going to come down to, can he get past? Can Josh Allen and this team get past Patrick Mahomes? Because it's what it always comes down to. It's Allen versus Mahomes, and they have to find a way to get it done. And I do think this is such a more complete team this year. We saw injuries on the offensive line last night, and it didn't even look like they had those struggles with the guys stepping up in the trenches, being able to get things done. And you look at Josh Allen, as long as he is on the field, he is playing like Superman. And you look at James Cook and all of their weapons, all of their tight ends out there. We saw Kincaid getting into the game last night as well. I do think this team has every ability. They're strong on both sides of the ball. And we look at Kansas City to start the season, and you never want to write them off to start because we know they've had some slower starts, they've had fast starts, and when push comes to shove at the end of the day, Kansas City always finds a way to get there. But we're looking at Patrick Mahomes not having those weapons. We're looking at Travis Kelce just not looking like the Travis Kelce we knew, and we know he can step up in the playoffs, but this isn't baseball. So we're not looking for a player that just, he shows up in the playoffs like we do see with some baseball players. But I do think Kansas City's in trouble this season. They're just not looking like themselves. 0-2. They got a big game on Sunday night versus the Giants. We'll see what they're able to do against the Giants and Russell Wilson. But this is just not a season for KC. I think this season is all about Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for KC fans to really grasp it because I watch their offense, the red zone offense, I'm not pleased with because they're not utilizing a lot of like Isaiah Pacheco like I'm used to seeing. And then it's like they come up with clever plays. So I don't know. There's a change in identity. It's hard to figure out, but we'll see what happens against the Giants on Sunday night. That should be an interesting game, though, coming in. Mike McDaniel, though, like we talked about, I think you nailed it on the head when it came to this team's they're just playing for jobs because right now I don't see a team that's focused. I don't really see a team that is intimidating, which is kind of hard because teams that usually play for jobs, they're more insular and they're not really thinking about the bigger picture. Like, hey, we need to get together and we need to play physical. We need to be able to outmatch them on every snap, every down, and every possession. And so with Miami, my big thought is this is going to be an attractive job if it opens up because warm bikini season weather every single day. The other thing is we got to add some pop. We got to fix that offensive line. We got to at least get some fierce attackers on the front and really kind of fix up that secondary because the minute Javon Holland and Xavier Howard, these guys were gone. That secondary I don't even trust a whole lot. Sure, they got Micah Fitzpatrick, but I felt like for years Chris Greer, like some of their drafting's been not even like up to par. And so I feel like Miami would be an attractive job, but people give me pushback on this. I feel like this could be a job that someone like a Mike McCarthy would be okay coaching this because say what you will, even with Green Bay and even with Dallas ended up going 12-5. They found their consistency and structure. This is just what the Miami Dolphins need. Is that kind of safe to say about this organization, or should they honestly look a different direction if, in fact, the kettle is thrown and these two are out the job?
Well, hopefully they don't bring in someone like Brendan Staley because we know the mess that he did with the Chargers, right? But it feels like the Miami Dolphins just might pull something like that out there, not look to pay someone. There is major adjustments that need to be made, like you said, with the trenches of this team. And you've got to wonder who's willing to take on this job because yes, I give Mike McDaniels a lot of strife out there, but is he as bad as we've seen him as a coach here? I don't think he really is. I think there's something going on. The chemistry isn't there with the team. We know that offensive line, how many years have they allowed Tua to just get pummeled behind it? There's so many changes that need to come for this Miami team to give him the support as well. And I feel for Tua because I think he is a competent quarterback out there. We look at Daniel Jones moving to the Indianapolis Colts, and he's looked like Superman the last couple of weeks, right? So you get a quarterback behind the right offensive line with the right OC, and magical things can happen. So there needs to be changes. Even look what Sam Darnold was able to do with the Minnesota Vikings, which I've always been a believer in Sam Darnold, but it has to do with that coaching staff. The coaching staff has to be on the money, and the right coaching staff will be able to get the Miami Dolphins to where they need to be, but they're going to have to improve those trenches. And that's really where it comes down to. I think you were straight on the right point for this team right off the bat of the show.
I agree. Yeah. Cause it's just like, I've been to Miami before, and like, to me, there's only so much of humidity I can take between them and Jacksonville, but still beautiful weather. Like it's so enjoyable. It uplifts people. I can understand it's the retirement capital of the world. Everybody loves the place. You know, they love to be by the beach, warm season, their skin's glistening. I totally get all of that. So I don't see why that couldn't be a job that you would take restructure and get it consistent, and then they'll finally get them, because you want them to compete. I mean, I'm watching New England. They changed up their regime. I'm watching the Jets. I mean, the Jets, they got something there, but they're going to need a few more pieces. So I want to be able to compete within my division if I'm the coach. So love how you segue when it came to Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold, because on the show, I do it every year. Now it's changed because I usually do NFL Prime predictions, but now we changed it to Jake's Inferno 5, my 5 hottest bets. So first game that I picked up from here, I like the Vikings -2.5, because I feel like you've got a grown-up in there with Carson Wentz, who has got his belt in the NFL. Yeah. Kevin O'Connell, you could see the frustration on his face when it came to J.J. McCarthy. However, Christian Darrisaw looks like he may be looking to play this weekend. Looked pretty good. I like the Vikings' chances to rebound. What are your thoughts on that? Because I can kind of see Carson Wentz. If this worked with Sam Darnold, I don't see why it couldn't work with Carson Wentz too, with Kevin O'Connell. Getting Justin Jefferson involved, all the weapons. I really am liking Minnesota's chances to rebound.
Well, I want to be Carson Wentz's realtor, because he's the first player in NFL history to play on 6 different teams for 6 different seasons. You imagine the commission if you're buying a house in each different location that realtor has made. But all jokes aside, I think Carson Wentz is a better quarterback here. We've got Carson Wentz versus Browning. I don't trust in Browning, and I do think Joe Burrow out of the lineup for Cincinnati. This is an undervalued line here for the Minnesota Vikings. I can't believe we're only laying 3.5 on some books. Now, you still got Justin Jefferson out there, and I think Carson Wentz is going to connect with Justin Jefferson. And I know we got Jamar Chase on the other side. He's going to get open for Browning, and I do think he should be able to come out nice and strong. But you look at the end of the day, I've got the more physical, better team here at home, and I'm only laying 3 points. It's the Minnesota Vikings all day long with the better quarterback.
I just feel like, too, keep an eye out for it on Cincinnati, because Noah Fant, Mike Gesicki, I could see Jake Browning utilizing that dual tight end set several times in the game, and maybe not even check downfield for Jamar Chase or even T. Higgins at that point. Second game, okay, this team always finds a way to stress my wallet out every single time I bet them, and that's the Atlanta Falcons. But I like their chances at -5.5 this week, because last week I didn't really like so much of the offensive play calling, and I don't know if you've seen that too, because to me, I was even talking with John Abraham, the former defensive end, and what he noticed is there were times where Michael Penix would be slinging the ball, looking comfortable, but then Zach Robinson or Raheem Morris is pulling the reins back. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, this offense is so capable of putting up 25 plus points a game. Yeah. Why are we going conservative to out routes? But I feel like this is an opportunity to really find the median behind it. And I think the Falcons offense might actually look good, because I loved what their defense played like last week. So I like this bet line.
Yeah, but I also look at what their defense did last week. It was versus J.J. McCarthy and the Minnesota Vikings offense. It just wasn't clicking with J.J. out there. So that gives me a little bit of concerns, especially in a divisional matchup here between these two teams. And I agree. Michael Penix Jr., he gets that ball out so fast. He is just slinging it down there. I like what the offense is able to do. And Bryce Young, we know he struggles to see over his offensive line. I have a hard time backing a smaller quarterback. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've never loved Russell Wilson. You know, that smaller statue behind the big offensive line. I just don't even understand how they see nice and deep downfield for those players. And we know they find a way. But Bryce Young, he's actually been able to score a touchdown in each of the Panthers' last 3 home games with his legs. And I do think we could look at Bryce Young to get in the end zone. For me, I'm not going to bet this one. It would be the divisional home dog plus every single point I can get, or a complete pass, but I can't talk you off the Falcons. They are looking like they've got the better team. They've got the better quarterback, but I just don't know how much I believe in that defense versus the quarterback they faced last week in J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, I agree. I think, too, they even mentioned it on the program where it came to Jeff Ulbrich. Like, he's still kind of looking for that 15, 16 sacks a year guy, but hopefully with the guys they've drafted, that can help to build pressures, get sacks, and at least get possession on the offensive side. But yeah, I'm hoping that they clean things up and get structurized. I like this one too, that I think is also pretty underrated. Rams plus 3.5. I couldn't even believe, like, I watched the Rams the last 2 weeks. Now, Houston, I knew Matt Stafford was kind of coming back from injury. It was going to be a little bit shaky, but the ground game, though, Joe, I think has been really looking pretty good. I think they, with adding in Blake Corum into the middle of the mix, Kyron Williams, I think this Rams team, like the defense too, getting coached up, they've looked pretty good. I don't think it's superb to where they're lessening them to like 17 points a game, but the Rams, they compete, and I think Sean McVay always seems to find a way to offensively get points on the board. So I like the Rams' chances this week. What says you?
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one, right? Matt Stafford versus Jalen Hurts. We know how strong the Philadelphia Eagles have been. As soon as we think about them, we think about that run game, solid run game here with Saquon Barkley. And then we also think about their ability to get that tush push in. So for me, this is more of a prop bet market that I'm going to be looking at Jalen Hurts to be able to get that touchdown on the board because of the tush push. You got to wonder if we're going to get those penalties on that tush push this time, because there's been so much controversy around how they're able to just get things done. But a really interesting stat on Jalen Hurts. He's 17-0 straight up as a home favorite versus a team over 500. Now we have seen lines move to 3 on some books, a solid number of 3 and not the 3.5. I do think the Eagles have every ability to win, but I'm with you. This could be a game where the Rams do get the cover. The plus 3.5, the optical number that you want for the Rams if you're going to be backing them. They did look great last week. I love Matt Stafford's ability to be able to move that ball, and we did see them win 5 games straight up as a dog last season. So they do have every ability to roll in here, especially when you look at the Eagles, you look at their win over the Chiefs, and you've got to think they would have got up for that game. That was the Super Bowl rematch. This could be a bad scheduling spot for the Eagles where no one expects the Rams to come in. It feels like week 3 is going to be all about those dirty dogs. And I tell you, Jake, I went with the dirty dogs last week, and that absolutely killed me. In week 1, we saw those favorites coming out, the majority of them covering. And then in week 2, those favorites really heavily covered, except like the Giants, right?
Yeah.
Were able to push the Cowboys. But this week, it really does feel like those dogs are barking.
I'm so happy I'm not the only person that thought that, like up in week 1, because I was just like, look, I got my whole herd of Rottweilers barking because I just feel like I don't know. Look, I'm from Vegas, and sometimes I looked at those lines and I'm like, is somebody out there drunk? Like, why are these lines looking like this? Like, this is insane. But yeah, I do think this could be a game. And by the way, this is a team too that almost beat them up and in the playoffs. They made it very competitive. So I can kind of see where Sean McVay would like to get a little get back on that. A team that's been on fire, which most other teams in the AFC didn't quite expect this start. But if you didn't expect it, you don't quite know Jim Harbaugh. But I think the Chargers, because they're up and at home, they were in that little pocket. They go in from Sao Paulo, go up to Vegas, and now they're at home in their first official home game in LA, but they are playing the Denver Broncos. The last of the back-to-back-to-back division matchups they got to play. I love the Denver Broncos defense. I really do. But Bo Nix, to a degree, concerns me. He's already got 4 touchdowns, 3 picks. And I'm kind of like, what version of Bo Nix am I going to get? The one that's not going to turn the ball over, or the one that is going to throw maybe 1 or 2 in the middle of the game, and that becomes crucial for their offense to stay up onto the field. I like the Chargers' opportunity. They did get 2 edge rushers to replace up for Khalil Mack, who's on the IR. But I do think with Jim Harbaugh and the way this offense has looked up, they're going to find ways to really attack more of the underneath throws, just like we saw up in week 1 against the Chiefs. What do you think?
So this is a hard one for me. I am a LA Chargers fan, and my heart wants to believe the LA Chargers can win 3 divisional matchups in a row, taking down the Kansas City Chiefs, then the Las Vegas Raiders, and now being able to be at home where they should have home crowd advantage, but we know they really don't. Taking on the Denver Broncos. I look at Bo Nix, and I am a believer in him. When we look at who was leading for the touchdowns going into week 3, Jared Goff sitting at the top with 5 passing touchdowns for Detroit, Lamar then for Baltimore at 4, and then it is Bo Nix sitting there with 3 passing touchdowns thus far on the season, followed by Bryce Young. So I have a lot of faith in Bo Nix. I think he's a competent quarterback out there, and his connection with Cortland Sutton is phenomenal. When we're looking at the defensive edge, for which team? It is the Denver Broncos. Like you said, Khalil Mack out of the lineup now for the LA Chargers. And then I look at that offensive line. The offensive line was a huge question mark going into the season with Slater. On the blind side, taking an injury, Joe Alt has moved over there, and there's been some shifting in that offensive line. And yes, they've done fantastic at protecting Justin Herbert in the first 2 games. And yes, Jim Harbaugh has made this team play a little bit different than I would have expected. We saw in that KC game, the passing game really come to life, which we didn't see last season, which was a huge concern for me because Justin Herbert has an absolutely gunslinging arm, which they did showcase in that first week in Brazil with the Kansas City Chiefs. He was able to get that line time behind the offensive line, and he also scrambled with his legs. And then last week, versus Vegas, and Vegas has Max Crosby. Max Crosby was able to put that pressure on him, but not as much as we would have thought that the Vegas Raiders would have been able to put the pressure on Justin Herbert. This week versus Denver, I don't think we're going to see Justin Herbert have as much time. I have so much respect for the Denver Broncos defense, and I think they're going to put that pressure on them here because the Chargers are my team. Because I can't come to a conclusion with this game. I do think the Chargers could find a way to sneak it out, but I don't like the fact that the defense is stronger here for the Denver Broncos. And I think that's what it's going to come down to at the end of the day. I think we could see the pick 6 if we see the pick 6 out of Denver, forcing Justin Herbert to throw that interception, which remember, he's so strong at not throwing those interceptions, but this is a different defense here for Denver. I think they're the best in the league.
Well, at least you and I got that in common because I've been a Charger fan since I was 7 years old.
Okay.
And, so I know exactly this organization and everything that they've been through from the ups and downs. But I do kind of expect, because I know that's been the chatter, is the run game. I hope that they are able to figure out the consistency because I do like Amari and Hampton, and hopefully Najee Harris can come in, check in, and really kind of contribute to the offense. But, yeah, I think it should be interesting. But I do think when you add in weapons, that will allow Justin Herbert to now, with 3rd and Keenan, 4th and Keenan, it doesn't matter what down it is. Keenan Allen going and trying to get the first downs or maybe a score. That's what's the big X factor. You already have that connection from there. So it should be an exciting game. I hope that it gets to like a 3-4 point margin at best because loving these division games, it's going to look like that. And finally, my good favorite bet of the week is the Cardinals plus 2.5. Joe, I don't know what you've seen from the Cardinals, but here's what I know. Defensively, that is a very underrated defensive team because Will Johnson's been playing out of his mind. They really have been inducing a lot of pressures. Now, the question mark has been, is the MHJ and Kyler Murray connection, is that solid and consistent? That is the hard part. But I love that they've been contributing with Trey McBride. So, and James Conner, he's still one of their best running backs. So I feel like this is actually kind of my favorite bet of the week. 2.5. I'm not asking for much. I just think the Cardinals right now, I could see Jonathan Gannon's identity. He's there to get pressures. He's there to stop the runs. And I also do think he's been there to really get more possession on the offensive side as long as the defense continues to contribute.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm so leery of this because Kyler Murray is a quarterback that he just gives me that painful gut feeling every time I back him, right? I had him in week 1 in Survivor. We were able to pull that out. We saw those struggles last week as well. This team's sitting 2-0. But do they look as solid as some of the other 2-0 teams? No. And in my opinion, they don't. But I do believe in that defense, and I do believe in Kyler Murray's connection with Marvin Harrison Jr. I think that is a solid connection, and I do think he can get him the ball. And then I look at the 49ers. You look at those injuries, still question marks around if Purdy will play. I'm kind of hearing a little bit of rumors that Purdy will play. But if it's Mac Jones, I'm all over the cards in this one because I look at Mac Jones and can we really trust him to play 2 solid back-to-back good games, and I can't. And then you look at the 49ers, they failed to cover the spread in each of their last 9 home games following a win. They just can't pull those wins together. So it's not a bet that I want to back the 49ers. I'm hoping we get Mac Jones, and then I can come in with you here on the Cardinals to get it done. And I would be taking them straight up on the money line. I wouldn't even play around grabbing them plus points.
Yeah, no, I think the money line looks a little more favorable. I agree with that. But I do know, I mean, even for a division rival game and you're in San Francisco, that will be challenging. And yeah, that is the question, because could Mac Jones really pull off another week in which Kyle Shanahan puts together the playbook and just distributes to a lot of his weapons? That's going to be questionable up from there. But I just love the intensity. I really do with a lot of these division rival games. The intensity, the matchup itself, and just what they're playing for. I think that's what's been kind of the big takeaway. This week's going to be really interesting, though, either way. But appreciate you for coming on by. Love your content and love everything you break down, especially for a lot of people that bet with us with either BetUS and Bet Payday Fantasy. Everybody wants to know what exactly are some of the experts looking at, to prepare for their week, so that way they're not straining their wallets and they come out as big day payers. So appreciate you for coming on by, Joe. Take care of yourself. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, and we'll see what week 3 has in store for us this week.
Absolutely. All the best in all of your bets. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just think with Buffalo, they're just that tough and physical. I just think Miami, they're just struggling to really figure themselves out and really get any structure going. That's what's kind of the hard part. But I think ultimately, yeah, I mean, it was a little bit difficult to really kind of figure out a lot of these bets. But when I started looking at a lot of these matchups and just kind of thinking, just kind of getting the takeaways on how these games are really going to come out, like I really am set on them. Like most of my bets, I'm very set on. So you guys will get a chance to see the Inferno 5. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And we also got Jake's NFL Top 10 teams here coming up around the corner. Well, of course, guys, with that, as you know, all of our bets are really, really good stuff. I've been loving Payday Fantasy, our partners there here on the Snake Sports Talk Show, where they are your go-to prop bet pick'ems. It's very easy. Go online, check out Payday Fantasy, sign yourselves up, pick the player, and pick the over-unders of their projected numbers, and sit back, watch the game, and get paid. That's simple. That's simple. You can play with it with your coworkers, your friends, or others that you kind of come to mind with. Whomever you want to play with. Definitely check out their daily contests that are going on right now every single week during the NFL season. And also, they're all around for all of your major sports. We're getting close up into postseason as well for Major League Baseball, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Check out Payday Fantasy for yourself, folks. And when you do, for 100% of deposit matchups to $100, use promo code SNAKE. That's promo code SNAKE when you sign up for the 100% deposit matchup of up to $100. Lots of fun. Definitely worth enjoying. Check out Payday Fantasy for yourself. Payday Fantasy. Sign up, pick, play, and get paid with Payday Fantasy.
Want to find your seat for the event of your choice but can't get one that fits your desire or your budget? Well, my friends, SeatGeek has you covered. SeatGeek is the official sponsor of the Snake Sports Talk Show. With a list of over hundreds of events to choose from, SeatGeek will assure you that you won't miss your seat with the amazing deal of your choice at the most affordable price. Whether it's looking for your best seat in the house of your favorite sports team, finding live concerts that get you closer to your favorite artist, or enjoying your spot at your favorite live shows, comedies, and more, SeatGeek has it all just for you. Go online to SeatGeek.com or download the app on your mobile device through Google Play and the App Store. And as a special offer before checkout, use promo code SNAKESPORTS and save yourself $20 off of your purchase of your first ticket, and experience why SeatGeek is the most trusted ticketing app for your next event. Remember, that's SeatGeek.com and download the app on your phone with promo code SNAKESPORTS for $20 off and find your seat with SeatGeek.
Looking for a show with the best takes and opinions? Want a show with the best coverage around the world of sports? Jam-packed with an all-star interview lineup? Then the best place to find it all, sports and entertainment, is right here. Join Jake Silva on the Snake Sports Talk Show, presented by SeatGeek and BetUS. Weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on Sports Wave Network.
All right. Good to have you on here on the Snake Sports Talk Show. We got a great show with us. Shout out to Joe Madden of Joe Madden Sports, giving her expertise on a lot of these betting games here this week. It should be a lot of fun. So I do my top 10 every single week. They are interchangeable, I promise you. Not exactly biased. I break down every single team coming up and into the week of week 3. So our top 10 NFL teams, let's get it.
Rank them up.
Yeah, it's time. Let's go, baby. It's on time right now.
The top 10 NFL teams, according to Jake.
All right. So at number 10.
Number 10.
All right, so the number 10 team I've got is the Washington Commanders. Now, this team, they definitely played competitive as best as they could against the Green Bay Packers, but that was such a tough matchup, though, either way. Green Bay's pass rushing, getting to Jaden Daniels a couple times. Washington, though, they are slowly creeping up. The only reason they're outside, like they're right now at 10, is because of the health status of Jaden Daniels against the Raiders. Now, if they go in and they win the game, they'll still be a top 10 team to me. They probably won't be ranked higher. But if Jaden doesn't play and the Raiders come away with a win against Washington, that may be a concern and could rank up a couple teams on the outside looking in. So right now I got Washington up at 10.
Number 9.
All right, the number 9 team here is the Indianapolis Colts. I'm not questioning this. They have been playing superb. By the way, top to bottom on their roster, from offense and defense, they are a very talented team. They fixed up a bit of the offensive line. Dan Dimes is just playing out of his mind right now. And even in that close game against the Denver Broncos last week, that team was playing physical. Jonathan Taylor looks healthy. Best version of himself right now in the first 2 weeks. Let's see what week 3 can give us, but I love the Colts here at 9.
Number 8.
Number 8 team to me, and I think this is an interesting one, but the San Francisco 49ers, and the only reason that they got ranked up from here is because with Brock Purdy being out and Mac Jones comes in, Kyle Shanahan, and this is always the method to his madness, you take a quarterback that is known to throw the simple stuff beyond script, get you comfortable in the pocket, and then utilizes all of his weapons. By the way, they were able to win without George Kittle and without Brock Purdy. And San Francisco's defense under Robert Saleh, I'm not surprised. He was able to make a lot of these defensive players play up to their strength. They came away with a good win, and I like the chances right now with San Francisco. It might be a little bit alarming against the Arizona Cardinals, but for right now, I got them ranked up at 8.
Number 7.
Number 7 team, and hopefully this team goes on a roll, and that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bucs fans can finally be happy with me because for 2 weeks, I didn't have them up in the top 10. They were outside looking in. I wasn't sure what I was going to end up getting with their defense, but Baker Mayfield continues to be dangerous. Emeka Egbuka, that rookie from Ohio State, has really been contributing well. He's been scoring on every single possession that he's had thus far, and it has really been helping out with the absence of Chris Godwin. Like, Emeka Egbuka has been the difference maker. Now, hopefully I get a little bit more production from Bucky Irving, but Tampa, young and Baker Mayfield feeling himself. They feel comfortable. I got him there up at number 7.
Number 6.
Number 6 team here that I have is the LA Rams. The reason that this team and the top 6, the Rams, they looked a lot better this past week. Like the first week, it seemed a little rough. I was expecting that because Matt Stafford coming back from injury. The run game looked a lot more physical. I think the defense also really pummeled Cam Ward. But the Rams are coming into an interesting matchup. I really do like the chances up from here. The Rams offense, they continue to figure things out. I think the Rams are going to be a very competitive team in the NFC. I got them at 6.
Number 5.
Number 5 team that's been hot has been the LA Chargers, but here's the difference. I'm not looking at just the offensive side of the ball. I'm looking at the defensive side of the ball. The Chargers right now under Jesse Minter, the first week gave up 21 points to Kansas City and gave up 9 to the Las Vegas Raiders. The Chargers right now are kind of playing that hot hand, and knowing Jesse Minter, the question mark is going to be what are they going to do without Khalil Mack in the lineup this week against the Broncos. So they did get 2 edge rushers, and their secondary has actually been very, very competitive. So I could see that identity with Jesse Minter. But offensively, if you're giving me 20-plus points, 25-plus points, this team will be winning their matchups with that good defense. I got them at 5.
Number 4.
Number 4 team that really, I'm not sure what to look up with the Philadelphia Eagles right now because they've been playing 2 competitive games. They're playing another one. And right now, Philadelphia, they haven't been throwing the ball a lot. It's mostly been rushing yards. So A.J. Brown hasn't been getting a bunch of targets. Neither has it been Devontae Smith. So it's mostly been a lot of the improvisation from Jalen Hurts. But my only thing is the Eagles offensively kind of looks a little stagnant in some areas, but they still do find ways to score. Defensively, they can compete up with any of the teams in the NFC. But right now, I got them at 4 until they can end up improving in some areas. Then I can consider putting them up more ranked higher.
Number 3.
Number 3, I got to take Baltimore here. The only reason of it, they looked much, much better last week. They still show they got a very overpowering offense. They got such a good overpowering offense. And my big thing with Baltimore was the defense. Defensively, they gave up 41 points against Buffalo in week 1, but then they slowed and lowered that margin down a lot. So Baltimore, they're going to be the team that's going to be able to roundhouse a lot of these teams offensively, and defensively, they're more smash mouth. Now, they are without Kyle Van Noy, and they also may have another injury up on defense, but I still do love Baltimore here up at 3.
Number 2.
Number 2 has been the team that won last night, and that was the Buffalo Bills. They're physical, they get in your face, and Josh Allen's offense, anytime he's got the ball in his hands, he works his magic. And I love exactly with how the Buffalo Bills offensively have been running it with their tight end sets. They've been distributing it and shovel passes to their wide receivers. However, though, defensively still kind of gives me a little bit of some question marks as far as consistency goes, but I do like with how they were able to instill pressures last night. So I got Buffalo there up at 2, and here's the number 1 team.
Number 1.
That'll be the Green Bay Packers. I mean, the Packers right now have been playing really good, consistent football. Had no question marks whatsoever when it came to getting pressures, offensively distributing the ball, and running the football. Green Bay from top to bottom looked really, really good and competitive. So that's my top 10 teams up from here. I like with where this has been sitting at. And again, there's teams that could potentially improve. I mean, you already saw, I don't have Houston. I don't have the Chiefs. So again, those teams right now, they have not looked like the best versions of themselves, but that doesn't mean that they can't possibly end up adjusting to their strengths. That's the thing in which I look at, and those are important takeaways. But teams like Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Buffalo, they've improved. Chargers have improved. But we still got to look at their run. We still got to look at parts of their defense against the run and several other takeaways. But the Colts and the Bucks, I loved putting them up here, up and into the top 10. They really up and improved in the last few weeks, so I like their chances up from here. So I do want to end up talking about this because we were talking about Miami here for a second with Joe Madden, and this is all I have to say about the Dolphins. Last night, so listen, there's a difference in the NFL, and you can tell when one is coaching for jobs, the other one is coaching to win a game. Mike McDaniel is coaching for his job. Like, everybody's playing for jobs. And right now, Miami does not look that buttoned up. And they're really not that kind of creative in some areas. The problem of it is that Mike McDaniel, I do like him as an offensive coordinator, but I just don't think that this is a job for him. And I don't know as far as the situation goes, because right now, offensive line, after Teron Armstead retired, you can already tell Tua's getting pummeled up. There's no open air room for Tua to end up distributing and throwing the ball. And they're just more built for speed than they are of the ground and pound. And that's been a problem. So Miami, I just am not sure how they're going to figure this all out, because I just think Tua, when he gets up and into pressure, he doesn't look like the same quarterback. It's almost like he's the left-handed Jared Goff in some situations, because you got to have a protective pocket. You got to have time to throw. You got to have time to distribute. And he doesn't have that. And defensively, they've been unable to stop a lot of these physical teams. Like, you watch them against the Colts, unable to stop them. You watch them against New England, unable to stop them. And you just watch them on a short week and Thursday night and unable to stop Buffalo's physical game. They're not physical. They're not built for that. And I think it's hard. Most of you, like when I made the comment, I think this could be a job that Mike McCarthy or somebody can come in, because, listen, nobody truthfully can deal with Mike McCarthy, but hear me out. Cowboys have had winning records, 12-5s, but I think a lot of that is because Dak and the offense, when they are consistent, and even with what Brian Schottenheimer put together as an offensive coordinator, you can see that this team is efficient up on offense. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with their offense. It's a defense that I know needs a lot of adjusting, because the secondary is not looking too bright. But even in Green Bay, I mean, you watched him in times when he had Aaron Rodgers, but we know that relationship really got strained the more and more resentful and the more just, what are we doing type of deal. But there is such a thing as when you get veteran coaches that have been there, done that, and there are teams right now that do not have their structure set and they're not completely balanced, is where coaching like that really is needed. Because I watched this. I watched this several times with teams. Teams that often go for coordinators is usually hit or miss. We're watching them right now. Ben Johnson, coordinator in Chicago. How's that going to pan out? I'm hoping it pans out well, because right now, Caleb Williams doesn't quite have the consistency and structure set yet. And there's several others that are also up and on the map. So it's often hit or misses. But if you get guys like Andy Reid or a Jim Harbaugh or a Sean Payton or even a Sean McVay, I mean, Kyle Shanahan, very smart and has been there and done that. But there are some times where I feel like he's having a hard time pivoting to third gear, but could still give you a very good, consistent offense, can stick to the simple things. There are coaches like that. But then you've also got the coordinating coaches like Ben Johnson and Liam Cohen and Brian Callahan and even Dave Canales. These are young guys. These are young studs. Can they actually play a high-intense game and stay consistent through it? I mean, Shane Steichen, if they got the quarterback, Steichen would not even be in a position to where his job's on the line. And right now, Daniel Jones looks really good. And top to bottom, offensively and defensively, is a very talented roster. And all they needed was the playmaker. That's what they require. But the Colts have been playing very good physical football. I mean, smash mouth against Miami, close game against Denver, but they're 2-0. They're feeling great about themselves. Miami just needs structure. Miami just needs consistency, and they need to be built for tough. Give me some toughness. I got nothing. I got nothing of that. I got speed. I got Tyreek Hill doing cartwheels and backflips. Like, what are we doing? You're continuously showing that you are the Lamborghini of the NFL. Nobody's there interested in that. Punch it in, smash mouth, get the score, end the story, go on the sideline, and continue to just play combatant football. That's all you need to do. But Miami's just having such a bad, they have such a bad habit of doing that. So I'm not entirely sure, how I'm going to see this. But it's hard for me to really, support them when this is going on. Hard for me to really just describe it. But I don't know. I think this should be very interesting to watch, though. But hopefully they'll be able to figure it out. But again, right now they're just playing for jobs. That's all that this is. They're playing for jobs. They're not playing buttoned up. And that's the end of the story. Alrighty, folks. Well, you've seen we've done Jake's NFL Prime predictions for the most part. But we have decided here on the show to shorten it up and make it Jake's Inferno 5. You'll have a new intro, and there's going to be some pretty cool stuff. So without further ado, let's get into these top 5 picks.
Let's turn it up. It's Jake's Prime Predictions.
All right, so as I've said before, I'm taking the Minnesota Vikings at -5.5. Now, the Vikings, they did not quite look as consistent with J.J. McCarthy, and I think part of that reason is the kid is still trying to figure it out. I'm not going to, really harp on him too hard, but I know that J.J. McCarthy, coming off of an injury, was something that he was trying to get comfortability with. Now, he's out. In comes Carson Wentz, another guy in the clutch that could really help out for this offense. Now, Kevin O'Connell has been known in the last few years where he takes guys like Nick Mullins, Josh Dobbs, and Sam Darnold and really turns them around. So I feel like with Carson Wentz, most people don't really like a lot of his reckless game, but all I would need Carson Wentz to really do is I would need him to just be able to complete up the simple stuff. So, and at least getting Justin Jefferson involved. They're going to be much more buttoned up, and I also do think I got some trust in the middle of it. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings here to win it 27-23 at the 2.5. I know there are times where I feel like people need to pull me back anytime I bet the Falcons, but I like their chances here this week. So they are on the road. They're in Carolina, but Michael Penix, though, and I know last week was a shortened week. It felt more defensive than anything else. But I have seen in week 1 against a division rival like Tampa Bay, they played pretty good. Only problem of it is that they did not keep their foot on the gas pedal up on offense, and that's what really concerned me. So I like their chances this week. I think this is a time in which Atlanta, they kind of figure out what their offense is. I don't think there's going to be any issues with Michael Penix throwing the ball, slinging the ball downfield. This is going to be really, really good. So I like the Falcons here to win it up and on the road. It's 5.5, but it's a risk worth taking. I'll take them 27-20. All right, this is actually a pretty good gridiron matchup between the Eagles and Rams. I'm going to take the Rams plus 3.5. Listen, the Philadelphia Eagles have been playing some close games. They almost kind of feel like Kansas City last year where they were flirting around with one-score games. But my big thing is they are on the road. They are going into Lincoln Financial, which is kind of a tough place. But, however, I just see with where Matt Stafford, the team looks good. And they've been playing very good physical football as well, which is what you have to do against a team like Philadelphia. The Eagles in the last couple of games, in just 2 weeks, they've hardly even thrown the ball. They've been mostly running the football on the ground, keeping it close on these matchups, even against a team like Kansas City. I'm not sure what to think of with the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, I have them up and in my top 10, but I like the Rams' chances because Stafford looked good throwing the ball. running the football with Kyron Williams and Blake Corum. I like their chances in this game. I'll take them to win 28-24 to cover the spread here on the road in Philadelphia and hand the Eagles their first loss of the season. All right, this is definitely the game in which it gets interesting. I'll take the LA Chargers -2.5. Now, I know a lot of people have been having concerns about their run game mostly, but the Chargers' run defense has been really good and explosive. So which is where I could see, even in a revenge game for J.K. Dobbins, where that could be a little bit concerning. Now, again, I like with what Denver's done on their defensive side, but offensively, they've been kind of slow to start with. So the Chargers, in my opinion, they come in at home in LA in a small pocket. There's not really going to be a ton of pressure, even with it being a division rival game. So I like the Chargers' chances up here at home. They're 2-0. They're feeling good about themselves. Run game needs to get going. Defensively, they don't have Khalil Mack, but they did get 2 edge rushers to try to help solidify and support with a Khalil Mack-less type of defense. I like the Chargers here at home against the Denver Broncos. I think they find a way to win. 21-27. Chargers win this one up at home. All right, so there's been question marks, but I'm still going to stand pretty strong about the Arizona Cardinals here on this game, 2.5 and the plus points. I like the dog up on this one. It's a very good defensive division rival matchup between the 49ers, and you're on the road in Santa Clara. Now, Arizona has been playing pretty good smash mouth football on defense. Offensively, still kind of gives me a little of that concern, but the question mark is Brock Purdy playing? And that's one thing. If he's not playing, it makes it hard for me to believe that Mac Jones in back-to-back weeks plays great, plays balls out. I think the Cardinals really do play a lot of good physical smash-mouth football, even up and on the ground with James Conner. So offensively, I think they're still trying to figure a little bit of some things out, but I've seen the connection with Kyler Murray and MHJ. I think the team will be all right. I like the chance here with the Cardinals on the road in San Francisco. I'll take them to win 24-21. And there you go. There's our Inferno 5 bets here for you guys. Love my chances on these picks. So as we recapped it, I got the Vikings at 2.5. I got the Falcons up at 5.5. That's a risk worth taking. Rams at plus 3.5. Chargers at 2.5. And a plus 2.5 for the Cardinals here on the road. So I like my chances. I think this will be, I really am going to enjoy doing these kinds of segments because at least with time constraints, it's a lot better. And that was why, like, when it came to the prime prediction, it's a lot of games to break down and it's a lot of film. It's a lot of just the simple stuff, even though I will still watch the games. That's part of my job. So the only thing is just keeping it short and sweet and good. I mean, I like it. So, yeah. I think, truthfully, I really do think the Cardinals, they're going to show something here. I really am liking it. So so I'm thinking about it. Just 2 minutes here left up onto the show. But the AFC, it's wide open. People don't want to believe it. But Kansas City right now, their offense doesn't quite look and feel the same. Defensively, I feel like with Steve Spagnuolo, he's still trying to do his job. There's no doubt about that. I have a lot of respect for him. But I watched Buffalo last night, and they play more physical. They got a lot of things figured out. And I just feel like they're playing to win. Baltimore's trying to play to win. Chargers are playing to win. And a lot of other teams, even, Denver, even if their offense doesn't quite look like that, they're playing to win. So a lot of these teams that are in the AFC, they're playing to win some. And that's because with Kansas City not sneaking up on them, this is the most vulnerable that I think we've seen the Kansas City Chiefs in the last couple times. People have been saying, they're vulnerable. But Kansas City, you can never count them out. But this is just different this year. I'm not sure if a lot of it has to deal with the offensive play calling with Matt Nagy, but this does not look like the same Kansas City Chiefs team that we thought we'd see. So there are concerns for them moving forward into the season. But I think for a lot of teams that are looking to really explode in the AFC, Baltimore's trying to get there, Buffalo's trying to get there. Lots of teams are trying. Lots of teams are trying to build up to what Philadelphia, even into the Super Bowl, the blueprint that they left off. So that's why I think the AFC, this is the opportunity to take it. This is the opportunity to at least earn your ticket and win it to get into the Super Bowl. If you don't do that, I don't even know what else to say. I really don't know what else. But to me, because I just think the NFC is very physical. They got their offenses and their defenses, but there are about 2 to 3 teams in the NFC that I can already say solidifying, like they are a top team. Philadelphia is there, Green Bay is there, and even the Rams. Those are 3 teams right there in the NFC that I can see are really good. That's going to be tough for other teams. You got some teams that are in the mixes, like your Tampas and your Washingtons and a lot of other teams as well. But I just think those are the 3 top teams of the NFC. So the AFC, I mean, Joe Burrow's out now for Cincinnati. He's out for a long time, for 3 months. And the Chargers, Justin Herbert's been off to a hot start, and Jim Harbaugh's second year with the team, build chemistry, build consistency. They're there to win. And then Baltimore, they're just keeping their foot on the gas pedal. They're not stopping. And then Buffalo being physical. Josh Allen is just desperately trying to get there because a lot of those question marks has been, can Sean McDermott pull off the reins a bit and stop being overly Josh Allen dependent, even up and on the ground game? Finally, they have it. And they added up a few other pieces. They got to go up and get a receiver. Keon Coleman looks good. Khalil Shakir is good. And even their tight ends look good. So I just think that these teams in the AFC, they've been dealing with this for far too long. And I think Kansas City's been put on notice that there are teams that are going to get physical, tough, competitive, much like a lot of the teams that are within your division. So that's my takeaway on it. Should be interesting, though, come the rest of the course of the season. Alrighty, folks, we're getting up out of here. Shout out to Joe Madden of Joe Madden Sports for coming on, sharing her expertise with all of our bets, and, of course, her breakdowns, what she found out about last night with the Bills' win against the Miami Dolphins. Appreciate everybody for joining on. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of the weekend and enjoy the Week 3 matchups that we got here for you. And check out, we've also got our Inferno 5. We'll be uploading it up on our social media next week. Blaine Bishop, Titans safety, is going to be joining us here on the program up on Monday. Check it out, guys. You don't want to end up missing that. For all of us at the Snake Sports Talk Show, enjoy it. We'll see you guys next week.